Step back.
May it please the court.
You may proceed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you go ahead and state your full name for the court reporter, please?
My name is Detective Amber Rulin.
And Detective Rulin, what department do you work for?
I work for the Newport News Police Department.
How long have you been with Newport News?
I have been sworn since 2018.
And back in January of 2023, were you with Newport News Police Department then?
Yes.
And what was your role then?
I was assigned as a uniformed patrol officer.
And on January 6, 2023, did you respond to Richneck Elementary School?
I did.
If we can go to the IP vote.
I need to pull this.
Oh, I do need to pull that.
Forgetting my duties.
This is just a little roadmap, Detective Rulin, and just to tell you what we're going to be talking about. I just want to talk to you about your observations at Richneck, and then my understanding is that you accompanied Mrs. Zwerner on her route to Riverside. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And so we'll be talking about that as well. Okay?
Okay.
To start us off, at the time, January 6, 2023, were you wearing a body-worn camera?
I was.
And was it activated when you responded to Richneck Elementary School?
It was.
And if I showed you footage from that, would you recognize it?
Yes.
Okay. If we could go ahead and show clip 110A. And Your Honor, I'd move the clip 110A, which is already subject to argument, into evidence at this time.
All right, based on the court's pretrial rulings, your continuing objection, I am going to allow it. Yes,
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
you may.
Is this your body-worn camera?
It is.
And do you recall this day now, having seen it?
Yes.
And I understand this may be difficult, and we're going to walk through the next part slowly, okay?
Okay.
All right, go ahead, read.
And it's nothing on the other side. Okay. And it did come out her hand. We're going to take care of her, okay? Medics are on their way in. We need to take a seat and exit. No. How many times was she shot? How many gunshots did you hear? One. Gunshot, okay. Sorry, ma'am. We're going to get up close and personal with you, okay? Please.
You're okay.
Stop actively bleeding right now.
Nothing on the lower.
Okay. I'm going to roll you over a little bit, okay? I want to see if you're clean out. Okay. Go ahead and lift your arm a little bit. Okay. I have my mom's. Are you in pain anywhere else?
Yep.
804.
Tell me your mom's number.
Hey. Oh.
What's your name?
Abby Zwerner.
How old are you?
25.
25. Do you have a history?
Detective Rulin, that last statement from Ms. Werner was her age. And were you able to hear it when you were on scene?
Yes.
And you can hear it on the camera or the body camera that it's soft or faint. What do you recall about that, or what did that indicate to you?
Can you rephrase the question, please?
Yes. When she expressed her age at 25 years old and it was faint, did that tell you anything in terms of your observations and what you were doing to take care of Ms. Werner about her potential injuries?
So I'm not a medical professional, so I'm unable to advise you if that meant anything for her medically. I did observe the injury to her chest, and there was the cloth covering the injury to her hand. I did not observe an exit wound, which is what I was checking for prior to the medics arriving.
And is that why you had rolled her over at one?
Yes.
Understood. Thank you. Soon hereafter, the medics did arrive, is that correct?
Yes.
And then when the medics arrived, you all took additional steps and actions at that time?
She was loaded onto the stretcher by the medics, and she was put into an ambulance where she was transported to Riverside Regional Medical Hospital.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 110B, and Your Honor, I'd now move that into evidence.
All right, previous objections noted for the record and contemporaneous. All right, you may proceed.
110B.
This is Abigail.
Okay, Robin. Hey, can you pick up the camera and get on the stretcher? Move your arm, all right?
She has a bullet in her hand.
All right, well, you're doing just fine, okay?
Does she have something in her hand?
I have the shoulder, yeah. Once you pick up.
Ow.
There you go.
right, I'm coming out. I'm getting the medic.
You allergic to anything? No. I need to ask for that now. You know this victim. No other victims we know. Need a little bruise.
Detective Rulin, we just observed the loading that you just discussed. Can you walk us through what happens from this point in time once she's loaded on the, tell me the correct name for it.
It's either an ambulance or, as we call it, a medic. She was put into the medic by the medics and staff, and then I, as a law enforcement officer, got into the back of the medic and rode with her to Riverside Regional, where I remained with her until I was released.
And when you say released, really, you walked her into Riverside?
I walked with her to in her stretcher to the trauma bay and to the subsequent room that she was put into. So wherever she went, I went.
And during the medic ride or the ambulance ride, did you observe her being provided treatment by the medics?
Yes.
And what, if anything, do you recall during those moments?
I don't recall exactly what they provided her medically.
I understand. Thank you very much for your time. Those are all the questions I have.
All right. Any cross-examination?
Looking for defense, thank you.
All right. May she be released?
She may be.
All right. Not subject to recall?
Not from us.
From defense?
Questions?
All right. You are excused, and you will not be called back. Please do not discuss, because this is an ongoing case, your testimony with anyone, but you are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. Next witness.
Your Honor, our next witness is Deputy Thomas Blythe, and he's in the back.
Okay.
With the court's permission.
If you stand here, face the clerk, raise your right hand.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. This way.
This way.
Watch your step, step now.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you go ahead and state your full name for the court reporter?
Thomas Arthur Blythe.
And Mr. Blythe, is it Corporal Blythe?
Retired, yes.
And retired from what department?
Newport News Sheriff's Office.
And were you active in January of 2023?
I was.
And on January 6, 2023, did you respond to Richneck Elementary School?
I did.
And I'm going to ask you about your observations from Richneck Elementary School, and that'll be, if we can go read to the IPVO, it's just a little roadmap. That's all we're going to talk about, is your day at Richneck Elementary, okay?
Okay.
So can we start by, do you recall how you first heard of a call for a response? And I don't need to know what was said, just how you first heard of the call to respond to Richneck Elementary.
Came over the radio.
And where were you in time and space in relation to Richneck when you received that call?
I was about a 5 to 6 minute drive, maybe, with lights and siren going.
And when you arrived at Richneck Elementary, were you first, second, third in terms of first responders on scene? What were your observations?
I was technically first. Deputy Briggs was maybe 20, 30 seconds behind me.
And when you first arrived at Richneck, talk us through what you did in that moment.
We immediately went to the front door of the school, hit the buzzer, knocked on the doors, couldn't get in. Didn't see anybody moving around. Not what we expected to be responding to a situation like this. It seemed like an eternity for us was probably about a minute of banging on the door till I think a janitor or a security person opened the door for us.
And if we could go to Exhibit 9A, and don't publish that to the jury quite yet, just to the witness in the court. Publish it to the witness in the court, please read. Do you see, if we can pause it, do you see that image up on the screen?
Yes.
And is that an image of you as well as other uniform officers?
That's Deputy Briggs, first one through the door, and I'm right behind him.
You're on to move Exhibit 9A into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
So admitted.
Permission to publish.
You may.
If we could start it from the beginning, Reed. So is that the moment that you were discussing, janitor let y'all in?
Mm-hmm.
And that's you there at the left and two Newport News Police Department officers as well, is that
Yes.
correct? And when you walked into Richneck Elementary, were you being provided guidance from anybody on where to go? In other words, how did you know where
we
to
just
go?
headed down the hallway. We naturally gravitated towards the office. I think there were some people in the doorway. We stopped briefly, looked into the office, saw there was a woman on the floor. Some people were attending to her. And then myself and at least the other 2 police officers, and I think Deputy Briggs was with us, headed down the hallway because we were trying to find out where the person with the gun was.
And have you now come to know that you were walking into room 11 or classroom 11?
Yes.
If we could show to the witness Exhibit 3, what we'll call 3A, which is Zwerner 6707. Just to counsel, please. Thank you, Reed. Do you recognize that photo in front of you?
That appears to be the classroom.
Okay. We'd move 3A into evidence, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
And it's just a photo, not a video, correct?
Just a photo.
All right, admit.
Permission to publish.
You may.
Go ahead, Reed. And Corporal, can you walk us through what happened as you walked through this door, room 11?
As we stepped through the door,
Can I give you a little bit of, not legal advice, but a little bit of legal advice? Refrain from saying what you heard people say, but really just your observations, if that's okay.
stepped through the door, and there was a young child attempting to be restrained by a woman. Later found out was Amy Kovac, the reading teacher. We were quite taken aback. We didn't expect to see so young a suspect. She said that she had control of him, that the gun was in the back of the classroom and pointed that way. I immediately headed in that direction. When I found the weapon on the floor, I called out that there was a gun, and I stood by.
Can I pause you there, just to bring the jury along? If I can show you Exhibit 3C, which is Zwerner 6726. And just to the witness and counsel. Yes. Do you recognize this photo?
Yes.
And is this a photo of the classroom, room 11, on January 6th?
Yes.
And can you see a firearm within the photo?
It's laying on the floor next to that chair.
All right. Your Honor, I'd move Exhibit 3C into evidence.
C is what we're doing.
C.
All right. Any objection? Without objection.
Permission to publish?
You may.
And we can sort of see that in the bottom left there. Is that right,
Yes.
Corporal? And there's, if you can see in the photograph, there's a checkered backpack there on the right-hand side. Do you see that?
Yes.
Did you all later, at some point in time, come to know that to be the backpack of JT?
I did not. I was not involved with the backpack in any way.
Understood. And so there are, if we can jump to Exhibit 3E, just for the witness. And when you're, as that gets up, as a responding to a crime scene, usually there are other individuals that will come after you as the first responder to take these photographs. Is that correct?
Yes.
And ultimately, these photographs, as they appeared in the firearm, as it appeared, you were sort of guarding the location of it so that it would remain in that location until those individuals arrived.
Yes.
Excuse me. 6728. If you can, it's at the bottom of the screen, you need to zoom out. All right. You recognize that as a closer shot of the firearm?
It is.
And I'm also going to show you what's been marked as 6730, which is another photograph of the firearm. And that's a closer shot of the firearm, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, so you're going to move both what we'll call 3E and 3F, which were those last two photographs shown into evidence.
All right. Any objection?
No objection.
All right. Without objection, permission to publish.
Permission to publish 3F, the most recent photograph.
And then you go back and show them E.
I will.
All right.
And that's sort of a ruler on the right-hand side or something to give us an idea of the size of the firearm. Is that
I believe
commonplace?
that's correct, yeah.
And then if we go back to 6728, which was the 3E, that gives us a broader vantage point of where it was within the classroom as well. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Those are all the questions I have for you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yep.
Good morning, Deputy Blythe.
Morning.
Counsel's asked you about your involvement in the investigation on the day of the shooting, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And you've mentioned that when you responded to Richneck Elementary School, you encountered some of the staff that worked there, right?
I encountered the janitor who opened the door. As we proceeded down the main hallway at the main T intersection there at the school, there was another janitor who said, "We have him."
Yes, sir.
And then we proceeded into the classroom, still trying to find the individual. And then we found Ms. Kovac attempting to restrain the child.
And let's talk about Ms. Kovac. During your response and handling of the situation, you ended up speaking to Ms. Kovac later during your investigation. Do you recall that?
Yeah, well, I wasn't actually doing an investigation. When I spoke to Ms. Kovac the second time, we had been sent to find a teacher and students that were supposedly hiding in a bathroom. In the process of that, I ran into Ms. Kovac, I believe, outside the nurse's office.
And I'm going to show you a display. Brian, could you pull up B57A1, marked for the defense for identification? And Deputy Blythe, I'm going to ask you to look at your screen. And I'm going to see if you recognize. This is D57A1. This should not be published to the jury at the stage, just to counsel. And let me ask you, Deputy Blythe, during the time that you responded to Richneck Elementary School, you were equipped with police body-worn camera.
Yes,
And it depicted the events of that day and your interactions with the folks that you talked to, right?
yes.
Deputy Blythe, do you recognize, you can see on that image, this is police body-worn camera from the day of the incident, right? This is January 6, 2023. Okay, and is this a fair and accurate representation of the Richneck Elementary School as you were going through the hallways?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask permission to publish this to the jury.
Object, Your Honor.
All right.
First, it's outside the scope. Secondly, it's a body-worn camera, so there's going to be hearsay statements that are contained that A, haven't been shared, and B, ultimately are hearsay that are admissible in court.
All right.
Judge, I can address those in turn. First, with respect to beyond
Well,
this,
I've got to see it first. And I can't rule until I see him.
we can voir dire on this outside the jury's presence, Judge,
Yeah,
or
I think we have to. All right, we did our best, folks, but at this point in time, we're going to have to. I'm going to have to see this video, make some evidentiary rulings. We can obviously clear the video.
thank you, counsel, appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Deputy Blythe, you've testified to your initial response to Richneck Elementary School on January 6, 2023. That's what we were discussing.
Yes.
And you testified that during your response, you were going in there to try to find certain individuals and get a handle of the situation, correct? During your response, you were directed to seek out specific individuals, right?
After the shooter was in custody, yes, we had a call. There were people hiding in a bathroom that needed to be rescued,
Yes, sir.
lack of a better term.
And during your response, you were equipped with body-worn camera, right?
Yes,
And the body-worn camera was depicting the events as they unfolded and the folks that you interacted with, correct?
yes,
Deputy Blythe, if I show you a clip from your police body-worn camera, would you be able to recognize that?
yes.
Brian, could you pull up clip D57A1 and display that for counsel? And given our prior discussion, Judge, I'd ask to publish it to the jury.
All right, objections noted for the record, but publish permission granted.
And Brian, I would pause at this juncture. Judge, I just want to be clear, if I could address the jury and make note that this has been muted for certain evidentiary reasons, but I nevertheless want them to see and observe.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yeah, you can't explain it to them.
Sure.
But it is muted there, and I will allow you to ask them any questions, and then obviously in closing you can argue whatever you would like to argue.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Please continue. All right, if we could pause here, Brian. Deputy Blythe, what we just watched here, this was you entering the main office of Richneck Elementary School, correct?
At the time, I didn't realize it was the main office, but it appears to be.
It appears to be the office where you see here on the screen, that is Dr. Ebony Parker, correct?
I'd never seen her before today, but
I understand. But this
didn't
appears
recognize her as who she was, put it that way.
not at the time, but now that we're in court, this is obviously Dr. Ebony Parker, correct? Okay, and then also present in that room were two other individuals. You can see one of those was Ms. Kovac, who you had an interaction with during your response, correct?
Yes.
Now, I want you to just focus here. When we're looking at this image, this was the front entrance this was the main access point to get into this office, right? When you walked through, you had to go through that door in order to get there, correct?
I'm not sure if there's another door to the right or not. I'm not familiar with the office.
Understood. But as you entered the threshold of this doorway, you can see Dr. Parker is turned and faced kind of perpendicular to you, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so if she were facing forward, she would be faced away from you, obviously, right?
Yes.
In order to interact with you and talk with you, she had to turn, right?
Yes.
And you can also see that in front of her is a computer with a display on it, right?
Yes.
And her desk is facing away from the entrance that you used to access that office, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions of the witness, Judge.
All right.
I would move to introduce D57A1 at this time.
All right. Incorporate our prior discussion. Any other objections? All right. It is admitted then as defendant's 57A1. Are you going to have any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you want him still under subpoena and available for recall?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'll be in coordination with you, Deputy Blythe.
All right, very well. Okay, so you are still a witness in this case, but so I'm not releasing you from the subpoena, but I am releasing you from court today. All right, so they have your number and can reach you in case you need to be called back at some later date. You understand?
Understood.
All right, and still as a witness, you're not allowed to discuss your testimony. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
You go ahead and state your full name, introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Ann Schuffelbarger.
And Ann Schuffelbarger, are you a doctor, Ann Schuffelbarger?
I am.
All right, and you are a doctor in what?
Education.
Thank you. Dr. Schuffelbarger, I'm going to show you a little road map. It's just going to tell us what we're going to be talking about with you today. We can go to the IPVO. I want to talk to you first, if we can publish it, Reed, about your personal professional experience. Then we're going to talk about case retention, in other words, why are you here today to talk to us? And then I want to talk to you about your findings and observations in your professional experience.
Okay.
And so there's enough context. You have reviewed materials and come to findings and observations based upon your review of those materials.
Correct.
And that's specific to the events at Richneck Elementary, January 6th.
Correct.
We'll get to those kind of near the end.
Okay.
So first, tell us why you're here in terms of your background.
Okay. I have 38 years of experience working in public schools. I have been a first grade teacher, a reading specialist, worked in central office with both reading programs and overseeing school administration, and then I've been a building administrator, principal, and assistant principal, all in Virginia Beach. And when I have retired, but since then I do part-time work, fill in when principals are out.
And so there's been a term used during the case about wearing different hats, you know, generally what that means?
Yes.
So you've kind of worn all the hats, or a lot of the hats that people are going to be talking about in this case. You were a first grade teacher like Miss Z.
Correct.
You were a reading specialist like Miss Kovac. Is that a yes?
That's a yes.
Just for him, sorry. You have been an assistant principal like Dr. Parker.
Correct.
And remind me, have you been a principal?
Yes, I was a...
All right, besides the earlier argued objections which are incorporated herein, any other objections at this time?
No, Your Honor, just a continuing objection based on the earlier arguments.
All right, very well.
They're on the record.
All right, thank you. I will qualify her as an expert in those areas.
Your Honor, yesterday there was another expert qualified, but I don't believe we've informed the jury what that means necessarily. Can we do that so that they can understand the context of why we might be asking their opinions as compared to others, or do you do that at the end?
We can do that at the end.
Yes, sir. Dr. Schuffelbarger, when we hired you to come and offer your opinions and findings.
Correct.
And when I say we on behalf of Ms. Zwerner, is that correct?
Correct.
And we hired you, and you're being paid for your time in reviewing the materials and being here today. Is that right?
Correct.
I hope we're paying you fair.
Very fair.
Okay. So in your review of the materials, did you ultimately come to findings and observations that you particularly pointed out as it relates to the actions or inactions taken by Dr. Parker on January 6th?
I did.
I want to talk to you. We've heard evidence so far in this case that there was a moment in time in which there was an initial information or sharing of information about a gun or a weapon at Richneck Elementary. Are you following where I'm going?
Yes.
And that was revealed
Your
in
Honor,
the...
object to the leading.
If you can ask open-ended questions. Well,
Yes.
Technically, they are leading, so I'll sustain it.
Yes, Your Honor. What findings and observations did you come to as a review of your materials related to the first incidents of information conveyed to Dr. Parker?
My findings were that Dr. Parker did not take action that I think an assistant principal should have taken at that time.
And when you say should have taken at that time, tell us, in your opinion and in your experience, what actions we're talking about.
When an administrator receives a report of a suspected weapon, I was trained, and it's written out in most policies and procedures handbooks, that administrator is to take it as a credible threat until you assess the situation and find otherwise. And so when a teacher came and reported that students said that a student had a gun, and it was a student who an hour earlier there had been reports that he was having difficulty and was threatening students at lunch, action should have been taken at that time.
And is it do you have an opinion as to whether that action, lack of action, in your review of the materials, did it stop there? In other words, was that the last time that there was interaction with Dr. Parker about a weapon on campus?
From my reading of reports throughout the day, depositions and timeline.
Moment, right? And there's been evidence, so we don't need to get into what that is particularly. But that second moment, you say there's 4. What's your view as an administrator in that context, in Dr. Parker's situation, in terms of getting a second notice of a firearm on campus?
Hearing it the first time and not taking action, I don't know, what individuals were thinking at that time. But when it comes back up again, I've checked the book bag, it's not there, but I'm getting reports that he has something in his pockets. That to me is a huge red flag. Take action. Get the kid secured. Search, call law enforcement, alert the principal. There are many things that needed to be done, and none of those were done at that time.
And Dr. Schuffelbarger, I mean, we're talking about Dr. Parker's actions, but none of the other teachers called 911.
There's a chain of command in a school, and there are usually policies and procedures that guide that. Teachers are taught, report to an administrator. Administrators are the leaders and are trained to take care of that. And it's my understanding that teachers did report it. Several teachers did talk to her about that. And there's even a handbook provided by Richneck. Can I mention that? The staff handbook for Richneck Elementary.
We've talked. We can hear the objection.
Objection, Your Honor, that's the exhibit that was provided late and outside court discovered.
And that is a continuing objection.
Yes, my understanding the court has not ruled on that.
I thought we were going to go ahead and allow her now that the foundation's been set, or did I misunderstand what you thought we were going to do?
I think maybe I misunderstand what we were going to do on that, because that has not been discussed.
This is exhibit.
And it's also beyond the scope of her designation. It was not, she submitted a report, and under the Crane rule, she's limited to the 4 corners of her report. She did not review that document, and it was not discussed in her report. I have a copy of her designation if the court would like to look at it.
I have that.
Your Honor, I think I can cure concerns and streamline some efficiency.
So you're going to withdraw the question?
I'm not going to withdraw the question
Right.
because she hasn't really. I invited the objection preemptively because I saw Ms. Douglas out of the peripheral, and so I don't think that there's actually objectionable testimony that's been provided thus far. I would just
At this
ask.
point, she's actually asked you a question.
That's right, and so I'd like to just continue the questioning in the event that we are going anywhere that counsel doesn't think we ought to go. We can of course take it up, but this is Exhibit 108, I think in particular, that we're talking about, that Your Honor permitted questioning as it relates to Mr. Sims yesterday, and so it has been taken up by the court. But ultimately, I think we can roll through this and get through it.
So the answer to your question at this point is no.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So, Dr. Schuffelbarger, in review of the materials that you've been provided, are there different hats that people wear in the world of administrating school and education system?
Yes, definitely.
And the hat of the assistant principal, the administrator responsible for a crisis management plan, you following?
Correct.
Was that the hat that, in your review of the materials, that Dr. Parker was wearing?
Yes.
And in your review of the materials, when that person wearing that hat has received the second notice of information as it relates to a firearm on campus. What's your opinion as to how, if at all, she responded or what her actions amounted to at that time?
From the things that I read, no action was taken. There was discussion about him putting it in his pockets and the size of the pockets, but no action was taken.
And from your perspective and in your expert opinion as a former administrator wearing that hat, what's your view and observation of what that amounts to? Is that's failure to act in the course of safety for the school. That's endangers folks. When you hear something like that, I know I said it before, you're expected to take it credibly. Here's a second report that people think the student has a gun. Action needed to be taken to prevent possible safety issues. And in your opinion, is that action should have been taken by Dr. Parker?
Yes.
And was that the last time, in your review of the materials, that Dr. Parker was informed of a threat of a firearm on campus?
No, it was not. There was a third time involving a phone call between Mrs. West, who was a first grade teacher, and Mr. Sims, who was answering phones in the office. I know, depending on different things that I read.
We don't have to get into, because the jury's already heard them testify. We don't.
But there was a phone conversation, and Mrs. West asked, had the student been searched? Or had the book bag been searched? I'm sorry, had the book bag been searched?
And so in your review of the materials, there was sort of a third moment in time in which Dr. Parker was faced with a decision or a choice?
Yes.
And in your opinion, as an administrator and as an educator in this field, how do you characterize her response? Did that meet the standard? Did that breach the standard?
No, it breached the standard of care and of job responsibility.
And was that the last time, based upon your review of the materials?
No, there was a fourth time when two different teachers were at her office talking about a first grade student reporting that he had seen something and more concerns. And those staff members took it upon themselves to ask if they could check his person, check the student's person. And they were told, no, mom's coming in a little bit. No, we don't need to check at that time. And in my mind, that's quite a bit of inappropriateness, of a failure to act, because here comes more concern, more discussion, another report, and no action taken, and stopping others from taking action.
And so if we were to separate those moments in time, Dr. Schuffelbarger, in your opinion, and we were just talking about an initial report earlier in the day that you talked about, number one, is it your opinion that and that alone and the failure to act under that circumstance breached the standard?
Yes.
And if we didn't even have that, and we're talking about the second moment in time, and if that was all that you had reviewed, is it your view that and that alone would have been enough for her to fall below the standard?
Yes.
All right.
Guiding
It is
the test.
technically leading. I'll just ask you to rephrase.
Yes.
Now, were you on the second? I know you asked her about the first.
Yes.
This is the second incident that you're on at this point?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
And as to the third and fourth?
I feel like each time it's brought up again, another person has shared concern, another student has shared that he's scared because of the conversation about it. When you look at that in totality, it's almost shocking, the lack of action there, how things were not followed up on. It really does breach the standard of care.
Dr. Schuffelbarger, are all of the opinions and conclusions that you've provided held within a reasonable degree of your expertise and profession?
Yes.
Those are all the questions I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any cross-examination questions?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Hello, Dr. Schuffelbarger.
Hello.
Your tenure in the Virginia Beach public school system was entirely in education, correct?
Correct.
40 years?
35 full-time, 3 part-time.
So about 40 years?
Yes.
And you retired in 2022?
Correct.
In those almost 40 years, you never once had a elementary school student bring a loaded gun into the school, did you?
No, I did not.
And Dr. Schuffelbarger, you agree that an assistant principal of the school is not solely responsible for school safety, correct?
No.
It's a team approach.
Correct.
And it also involves the teachers in the classroom, correct?
Correct. The assistant principal is the leader of that team.
And the principal's involved as well, correct?
Correct.
And the teacher in the classroom is actually the first line responder. You've heard that term before?
Yes.
Now, you've seen in the materials that you've read related to the case that Dr. Parker was involved with standardized testing that day?
Correct.
And there's strict rules that govern standardized testing, correct?
Yes.
And the assistant principal is the school testing coordinator.
Generally so, yes.
And the assistant principal is responsible for setting up the secure environment for the testing?
Correct.
And these tests are given online?
Yes.
And it involves the assistant principal being at her computer
To get things started, yes.
and throughout the testing
Checking
process.
in on it throughout the day. It doesn't require being at the computer all day.
But it requires being at the computer a fair amount
Certain times, yes.
because of the security of the testing tickets, correct?
Right, but an administrator can leave the office as long as they are locked up and secured so that other people cannot get to the testing tickets.
Understood. And this was going on concurrently on January 6th, correct?
Correct.
And there were other discipline issues going on
Yes.
January 6th. You read about those?
Yes, I have.
And Dr. Parker had to interject and get herself involved in those situations. You read that?
Correct, yes.
And that's in addition to wearing all the other hats that an assistant principal wears.
Yes.
And I think you agree with me that an assistant principal wears a lot of hats
I do agree with
in
you
a
on that.
management of an elementary school. You agree with that? Now, you told the jury about what Dr. Parker didn't do. You would agree that an assistant principal must use his or her judgment or discretion in determining whether reports about a student are credible.
But part of that involves assuming credibility and checking to see if it is indeed. You're to assume credibility until you check and assess to find otherwise.
Until evidence tells you otherwise.
Correct.
Okay, but that does involve the use of judgment and discretion. You would agree
Yes,
with
I
that?
would agree with that.
Okay. And the assistant principal can't be everywhere all the time, correct?
Correct.
And the assistant principal has to rely on other staff members and other teachers in determining whether reports are credible, correct?
To some degree, yes.
And you would agree that the first report that Dr. Parker received regarding JT was from Ms. Kovac?
Yes.
And Ms. Kovac investigated those reports before she went to see Dr. Parker, didn't she?
Correct.
Ms. Kovac is a seasoned educator, isn't she?
Yes.
Over 30 years.
Yes.
And she worked with JT daily.
Yes.
She knew him well.
Yes.
And Ms. Kovac stayed in the room with Ms. Zwerner and her class for a while to investigate the reports about whether JT might have a weapon.
Yes.
Ms. Zwerner was also in the room while this was going on. You read that?
Yes.
They were the first line responders to the reports about JT having a weapon, correct?
Correct. First line responders as teachers are to report it to administration.
Right, but that's a different question. I'm
Okay.
asking you if Ms. Kovac and Ms. Zwerner, who were in the room when this happened, were the first line responders to the information reported by the two students.
Your Honor, I'm just going to object to preserve our motion in limine regarding argument as it relates to duties owed by individuals who are not the defendant in this action. I think we're venturing into an area of asking what is an obligation there, which Your Honor's ruled is not an issue for the court and has not been pled.
Your objection's noted, and it's, to make contemporaneous, but I don't think we're into the grounds that I have ruled yet that are inappropriate. All right, go ahead.
See. So you would agree, you read in the materials that Ms. Zwerner and Ms. Kovac were in the room with the student.
Correct.
Ms. Kovac did not confiscate JT's backpack.
She did not at the time that he was in the room.
Ms. Kovac did not.
Oh, I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Ms. Kovac, the reading specialist, just like you, she did not confiscate JT's backpack after her investigation, correct?
Correct.
She did not remove JT from the room.
She did not.
And Ms. Zwerner did not confiscate JT's backpack, did she?
No.
And Ms. Zwerner did not remove JT from the room.
No.
And she had removed him from the room a couple days before when he had thrown her cell phone, correct?
I don't know about that. I have not reviewed that recently.
You haven't reviewed it recently?
I can't speak to that right now.
Can't speak to it right now. At that time, Ms. Kovac went to talk to Dr. Parker, correct?
Correct.
And at that time, Dr. Parker would have learned that JT had been permitted to go on the playground with the other students.
My understanding is that when she went down to the office, they were getting ready to go to recess. And she said that she would go back and check the backpack when they went out.
Right.
So I don't know the exact, was she there when he went out, or did she leave the room before? I don't know the answer to that.
My question is different.
Okay, thank you.
Based on what you read, when Ms. Kovac went back to Dr. Parker's office to report on her investigation, you read that
after
she
the
would
backpack.
have known that that Ms. Kovac had investigated, chose not to remove him from the classroom, correct?
Yes.
Chose not to confiscate the backpack,
Yes.
and that he was off to the playground with the other first grade students.
Yes.
And would you agree that that is information that tends to disprove that there's a credible threat?
No, I would not agree.
Would not agree with that. Now, Ms. Kovac goes to speak with Dr. Parker and at some point searches the backpack.
Yes.
And that was based on a discussion between Dr. Parker and Ms. Kovac, that the backpack would be searched.
Yes.
And then there were some other conversations that you talked about that day to Dr. Parker, correct?
Correct.
But you were not there for those conversations. You have no way of knowing what information anyone specifically conveyed to Dr. Parker.
That's correct.
But what we do know is some of their actions that day. You do know that, correct?
Okay.
And then you told the jury that there were 2 staff members, that was the last opportunity for Dr. Parker, the 2 staff members, and they were teachers, I believe is what you said?
Yes.
Do you recall that being Mr. Rawls, the guidance counselor?
Yes.
And he wasn't a teacher, was he?
Okay, that's an instructional position, but it is different from a teacher.
He was a
Correct.
guidance counselor.
He was a guidance
He was
counselor.
on the threat assessment team,
Okay.
right? And you read Mr. Rawls' deposition.
I did.
And you read that he had not determined it to be a credible threat when he spoke to Dr. Parker about searching JT, correct?
That's what I read, yes.
Okay. And he spoke with Dr. Parker about searching little 6-year-old JT, and he not sure about what was said that day, but Dr. Parker didn't refuse that JT be searched. She just wanted to wait till his mother got there to go through the rest of his things. That's what you read, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's talk about student searches.
Okay.
You would agree that the decision whether to search a student is a judgment call for an administrator to make based on the information known at the time.
Correct.
Age is a factor in determining whether to body search a 6-year-old, right?
Age and a lot of other things are a factor.
Sex of a student is a factor, correct?
Correct.
And you want to handle the student with as much dignity as possible so that you don't upset them, correct?
Absolutely.
You must also consider legal issues involving right to privacy.
Correct.
And during your tenure in the Virginia Beach public school system, it was preferred that a parent be present for a body search of a student.
Yes.
And here, Dr. Parker did not deny Mr. Rawls searching the student, but wanted to wait for the mother to get there because she was coming soon. Correct?
That is what I read that she said.
You were answered a few questions about Newport News procedures and documents, but you were in Virginia Beach, correct?
Correct.
You don't know anything about training in Newport News on any documents that they have.
The only things I read, there was a multi-crisis handbook that I read about Newport News procedures and the Richneck handbook, and I don't know if I can discuss either of those.
But you don't know how training is done
No.
in Newport News,
No,
and you don't
you're
know how
correct.
Dr. Parker was trained
You're
about
correct.
those documents.
Yes.
Dr. Shuffleberger, you came to be an expert in this case through Mr. Bright, sister-in-law, correct?
Correct.
You'd never been an expert before. You've never sat on the witness stand as an expert witness, have you?
No, ma'am.
And you're charging $500 an hour to sit here today, correct?
Correct.
And at the time you reviewed this case, you knew about the outcome at Richneck Elementary School on January 6th, didn't you?
I did.
You knew the outcome. And you yourself agree that it's unfair to judge someone's conduct with 20/20 hindsight vision, correct? You agree with that?
I can see that, yes.
And you agree that Dr. Parker, in evaluating information regarding a 6-year-old having a loaded gun at school, something that never happened to you, she did not know the outcome that day, correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Shufflebarger, there was a question about standardized testing at the beginning of the cross-examination. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And I think the question was, you have the obligation of the assistant principal is to secure an environment for testing. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Can you imagine a circumstance that jeopardizes a secure and safe environment for testing more than having a firearm on campus?
No.
And you were also asked about other disciplinary events that were taking place at the school.
Yes.
And so it's your observation, I think, that Dr. Parker was attending to some things on campus
Yes.
and not the firearm.
Correct.
Is there anything in an administrator's life that is more important than understanding and determining the validity of a threat of a firearm on campus?
I can't think of anything that would be. Being a building administrator is a hard job. You talk about wearing lots of hats, and absolutely administrators wear lots of hats and have to handle things that happen quickly. You may have a plan, I'm going to do this today, and you never get to it because it's almost like a triage situation. You have to determine what's more important, what is more urgent at this time. And a report of a firearm stops everything. You stop, you investigate, determine if it's credible, and then you can move on with your day if it's found not to be.
And you were asked about investigating. I think you were asked about Ms. Kovac's investigation. Do you recall that question?
Yes.
Whose job was it to actually do the investigation?
An administrator.
Dr. Parker.
Dr. Parker was the one it was reported to.
Whose job was it to actually confiscate the backpack?
Dr. Parker's.
Whose job was it to secure the child?
Dr. Parker's.
This is beyond the scope of her designation. None of this is designated. for her testimony.
I'm going to overrule that.
Whose job was it to contact law enforcement?
Dr. Parker.
Whose job was it to search the person?
Dr. Parker.
And there was a question about the dignity of a child, a 6-year-old child.
Correct.
Recognizing the dignity of a child, is the dignity of a child more important than the safety of the individuals on campus when there's a report of a firearm?
I think you can manage both. You can handle all the things need to be handled with the student who potentially has a weapon in a dignified way and protect the privacy and the dignity of the child in a way that other children don't see it. But you can't ignore it, and we should not ignore it.
You got to get to the bottom of it.
Yes.
And
find
Dr.
out.
Parker never got to the bottom of it.
No.
Thank you.
Briefly on that.
Follow-up. You just testified that a report of a firearm stops everything, correct?
Yes.
Stops everything for everyone in an elementary school.
For the administrator who receives the report, they need to kind of stop what they're doing and handle that report right away.
So you're telling this jury that the report of a firearm in a school stops everything for the administrator, but the teacher, the first line responders can go about their business. That's what you come in and telling this jury.
And argumentative.
Overruled.
That's
I'm saying it's the assistant principal's job to stop and take care of it. Their job is to report, and the assistant principal's job is to act.
You would agree that other individuals involved did not stop everything that day, correct?
No.
Ms. Kovac didn't stop everything, Ms. Zwerner didn't stop everything, Ms. West didn't stop everything, and Mr. Rawls didn't stop everything, did they?
No.
No further questions.
All right. Is she going to be needed to testify again?
Not from us, Your Honor. I don't think she's under subpoena from the past.
So may she be excused?
She may be.
All right. You are excused. Thank you for your testimony today. Because this is an ongoing case, please do not discuss your testimony with anyone.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. All right. You may be excused. All right. Is now a good time to take a break?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Let's take our morning break, about 10 minutes if we can. I would appreciate that. And then you may proceed.
Thank you. And can you please state your name for the jury?
Daniel Mudd.
And tell the jury, how are you currently employed?
I'm the Chief of Surgery at Riverside Regional Medical Center.
And how long have you been in that position?
About 10 years as the Chief of Surgery.
And were you there in that capacity on January 6, 2023?
I was.
Okay. And before we get to that date, can you briefly tell the jury about your medical background, your educational background, I should say, so the jury can understand a little more about you?
Sure. I'm a general surgeon by training and specialize in trauma surgery and surgical critical care. I'm the Chief of Trauma at Riverside and have been there for 14 years total. I was in the military before that. That's where I trained to be a trauma surgeon in the Navy.
And where did you go to school?
To Wake Forest.
And after Wake Forest, were you there for all of your education?
Yes, for undergrad, graduate school, and medical school.
And since that date, have you worked in the medical field?
Yes.
And do you have a specialty?
Yes, trauma surgery.
And can you explain to the jury what exactly that means?
So of the general surgery subspecialties, general surgery includes basically abdominal surgery, breast surgery, skin cancer, things like that. And trauma surgery focuses on pretty much the rest of the life-threatening injuries in the body, but we take care of all injured patients. So it might be car accidents, gunshot wounds, stabbings, things like that. Even falls from standing, falls downstairs, things like that.
And Your Honor, at this time I would like to tender Dr. Munn as an expert in the field of trauma surgery, general surgery, and surgical critical care.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. So qualified.
Thank you. Now I would like to turn your attention to January 6, 2023, and the couple days thereafter. Do you work with a team of doctors?
Yes, we have 6 trauma surgeons and 3, nurse practitioners basically that work with our team. And so I think Dr. Chapp has already testified, but he was the primary surgeon on for trauma at that time, and then the rest of our team were taking care of her the rest of the time that she was in the hospital.
And when you're saying taking care, I should make it clear in the record, you're referring to Abigail Zwerner, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And you see her in the courtroom today?
I do.
And can you tell the jury, when did you care for her that week that she was in the hospital?
I would have to look at the record to see exactly when we crossed paths, but basically we all work as a team and cover all of the patients in our on our service. So.
And so, what was your role that week when you saw her?
Just supportive care, managing all of her medical issues, managing her critical care. She had a chest tube that we had to take care of, and that is a big part of the focus for our team. But all of her injuries are under our, we're the attending surgeons for her and the primary physicians for her. So we took care of all of her medical needs while she was in the hospital.
And just to help you as you're walking the jury through what you did in her injuries, I'd like to share, and if I can publish it with the jury, Your Honor, I have shared it with the opposing counsel. I don't believe there's an objection. It's going to be a demonstrative exhibit. We'll be referring to it as MV13.
Any objection as a demonstrative exhibit?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So just let me explain to you, ladies and gentlemen, a demonstrative exhibit is something that you'll be able to see that assists you in understanding the testimony of a witness, but will not be going back with you to the jury room. All right, so if that helps you take notes or not. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And with your permission, it can be published?
You may.
Thank you. And Dr. Munn, do you have that on your screen in front of you?
I do, yes.
And can you walk the jury through what this illustration means to you in regards to Ms. Zwerner?
Absolutely. So if you look at the left side of the drawing, it's basically sort of a mock-up of a person standing up, or maybe laying down, but basically the whole torso. And the two cutouts on the right are images that kind of reflect what we would see with a CAT scan. And so the top one is actually her CAT scan, and then the other one on the bottom is sort of a cutout of what it would look like to slice her like a loaf of bread. So in a CAT scan, her head is into the screen above us, and then she's laying on her back, and then her legs would be sticking out of the screen towards you. And so that, as the CT scanner presents images slicing through the body like a loaf of bread all the way from the head down to the feet. And so they're basically referencing back and forth between the left side of the total of her torso and the cutouts on the right are basically showing you where the bullet went in to the left chest. It went through her ribs, which are to the left of that. So if you look at just the upright one on the left, it's probably easier just to follow that course of the bullet. Yeah, sorry. Yes, that would be fine. Sure.
Having him direct them. Ms. Douglas, any objections to having him come down? All right.
So if you would stand here.
And just make sure you speak up. All right, thanks.
Okay. It might be easier if I just stand at the screen, if that's okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
So again, this is the trajectory of the bullet going into the chest, going through one of the ribs, and then through the lung tissue, and then ending up behind the heart, just along the course of where the aorta or the major blood vessel where the whole body is. And so again, when we're looking at this same image with her sliced like a loaf of bread, it kind of goes in through the side of the chest up here, and then ends up behind the heart, which is this area right there. So the big black areas on both sides are the lung tissue, and then all of this is blood that's collected in the chest from where the injury is. And the bullet is this super shiny thing with the arrow going into it. It is backed by her spine and very close to the aorta, which is the biggest artery in the body. So if you look at this image, the aorta comes off the top of the heart, it goes down to the lower part of the body, provides all the blood supply to the rest of the body. And so this bullet is positioned. If you look at this glow up here, it's about 2 centimeters from the aorta and a blooded curve working on your spine. So, if you wanted to show what she's done.
Yes, if you want. Now, Dr. Munn, are you done with those? Do you want to, I can.
I think that is pretty much it. This image here gives you a better view of what the CAT scan shows because it shows the tissue more realistically. And so this is her lung that has collapsed and shrunken down because it has a hole in it. And that hole has bled into her chest and allowed for air and blood to leak out into the space around the lung.
Thank you. Then if you'll have a seat back, we'll continue questions. So can you tell the jury the significance of the blown up image where it shows the bullet 2 centimeters from the aorta?
So there are several things about the way this bullet went in that are life-threatening. Certainly the injury to the lung, where I described that it has collapsed. Any human being can bleed to death from that level of injury to the lung. But again, where this bullet ended up, it went past the heart and just barely missed it. And then also ended up within 2 centimeters of the biggest artery in the entire body, which patients would bleed to death in seconds from an injury to that vessel.
And Your Honor, if I may, I do have a ruler just to show the jury what 2 centimeters looks like. If I could approach just so they can understand the measurement, Your Honor, I'd ask for leeway.
Any objections?
Object to the relevance if this is cumulative at this point anyway.
All right. I'll overrule it. She can show the jury what 2 centimeters looks like.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate that. The jury, you can see over here. That's the number 2 right here.
The ruler's not going back with y'all.
Bring that back to measurement. And Dr. Munn, you had talked about the lung collapsing. Can you tell the jury a little bit about that injury as well?
So this is something that we commonly treat that is a life-threatening injury, but the treatment doesn't seem that significant because basically the treatment is to put a tube in and re-expand the lung by sucking out the blood and the air that's around the lung. And so We often do not have to do surgery to get into the chest and fix this problem because the body heals very well when we re-expand the lung. But it is still a very significant injury and something that is can oftentimes cause a patient to pass away at the scene where they're injured.
And the lung, when it collapsed, is that actually scarred to her chest? Can you explain that to the jury?
So the way that we get it to heal is by putting that tube in, it creates a scar that causes the lung to re-expand and stay expanded. And so over that healing process, if we took the tube out too early, the lung would collapse again and she would have difficulty breathing and we would have to put another tube in or potentially do surgery.
And so what does that mean for future surgeries?
So now, as a result of the injury and the treatment for that injury, her lung is scarred to the chest wall. And so that means that anytime, if she had any other injury to that side of her chest, or if she needed surgery to that side of her chest for any reason in her lifetime, we would be going through scar tissue to get to whatever that is. So it limits our ability to treat her for other problems that might affect that side of her chest.
And Dr. Munn, where is that bullet that went into her body?
Is
it still there?
Yes, it's still in her.
And why was the bullet not removed?
So for something like this, it is actually way more dangerous to remove the bullet than it is to leave it in place because all of those structures that I described that it's so close to are very difficult to get to. And so we leave it in place, assuming that it hasn't caused any additional harm at this point, now that she's stabilized from it, and hope that it won't cause any further harm going forward.
And are there a lot of other people in situations like that where you can understand what that looks like for her going forward? Or is this a unique injury that you've seen?
Your Honor, object it's beyond the scope of his records. There's nothing in his designation about this type of testimony.
You have a response?
Your Honor, I will certainly keep it focused on her injury, and he is designated to talk about the injury of the chest and the bullet inside the chest and what that means for her. But I can narrow that question a little bit more, Your Honor, if you'd like.
All right, sustained with leave to re-ask.
Thank you. So, Dr. Munn, where the bullet is in Miss Zwerner, what does that look like for future injuries that she could have or future needs for diagnostic exams?
So there's no way to provide evidence of what could happen over a lifetime, really, because we can't study all of the patients who have projectiles in them. But we know that they typically don't cause harm when they're in a location that is not near something that's moving. But there are certainly events that could cause this bullet to move if she was under a significant impact of some sort. And the thing that we worry about the most really is something like needing diagnostics testing for MRI or something like that, where she has metal in her and an MRI requires using a huge magnet that can cause the metal to move or heat up. And so it would basically prevent her from being able to have an MRI for the rest of her life.
So in the future, if there was a need for a diagnostic testing of some sort, if there was a concern of anything involving breast cancer or things of that nature, is she going to be able to have an MRI?
Your Honor, this is getting far afield. It's also cumulative. She's already testified to that.
I'm going to overrule it just for this question, but this will be the last question.
Yes, Your Honor.
On that line.
Understood.
It does apply to my specialty as a general surgeon as well. And yes, that for someone her age, a female patient her age, it would be concerning that she might have to have an MRI at some point. The most common reason would be breast cancer, because it's very common in women, but also anything else that might require additional imaging. And also, just if we were concerned about the fragment moving, one of the studies that would help us with that would be an MRI, which we wouldn't use for her.
Okay, thank you. And you saw her on January, when she was initially in the hospital, and then you've seen her January 30th of 2023, correct?
Yes.
And then you saw her again February 6th of 2023, correct?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell the jury, is there any future needs for her to see you? What would that look like in the future if she needed to meet with you? For what reason?
Sure. So the initial follow-up was mostly to examine her for her recovery and make sure she wasn't having any ongoing complications, the most common of which would be pain from her rib fracture, which she did have when I saw her in follow-up. And then again, if there's anything that changes over the course of any period of time, really throughout her life, if she has complications or concerns about her breathing, then she would come to see us for that.
Okay. And Dr. Munn, were all of your opinions testified today to a reasonable degree of medical probability?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And do all of the injuries that you discussed today related to the gunshot on January 6, 2023, the wound to Ms. Zwerner?
Yes.
And are the injuries that she has today sitting in this courtroom permanent in nature?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. You'll answer any opposing counsel's questions.
Okay.
Examination.
Just a few questions. Dr. Munn, if the records reflect that you have not seen Ms. Zwerner in over a year, is that consistent with your recollection?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Other questions?
Okay. All right, may he be excused to go take care of the citizens of Newport News?
Yes, you may, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for everything you do. All right. All right, is there a witness we can do in about half an hour, or are you ready to do anything else at this point?
No, Your Honor, I think the next one's going to be longer than a half hour.
Okay. All right, do you agree with lunch break at this point, Ms. Douglas?
That's fine, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will take our lunch break for the day. We will try to resume testimony at 1 o'clock. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
This way.
Have a seat next to me.
Watch your step. Up.
Please, court.
You may begin.
Doctor, could you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your full name, please?
Sir, it's Romney Christian Anderson.
And you are a medical doctor?
Yes, sir.
What is your specialty?
Orthopedic trauma.
I want to go through briefly, if I can, your resume, curriculum vitae, so the jury will understand your expertise, if I could. When did you graduate from med school and from where?
1996 from the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences.
I did want to ask one question. You have a Bachelor of Science degree in what?
Nuclear physics.
And then you decided to go to med school after that?
I spent 7 years in the infantry, and then I went to medical school.
All right. Now, I want to talk to you about the different jobs you held as an orthopedic surgeon. I take it you became board certified in orthopedic surgery at some point in time?
Yes, sir.
And where have you worked in the field of orthopedic surgery?
So once I finished residency, I went to fellowship at the Shock Trauma Center in Baltimore for a year's fellowship in orthopedic trauma. And I came back to Walter Reed during the war and helped out with the trauma there. During that time, I worked 1 weekend a month up at Shock Trauma, helping them out as well. And then I worked at a number of little various hospitals doing hip fractures and things on the weekends to help them. When I retired from the military about 11 years ago, or 10 and a half years ago, I came down here to Newport News and currently work at the Riverside Regional Medical Center.
Did you become the chairman of the Department of Orthopedic Surgery at Walter Reed National Hospital?
Yes, sir. I did that for the last 6 years I was there.
And are you the chief orthopedic surgeon at Riverside Health System?
I gave that up recently.
But you were chief for how long?
I did it for a decade, then gave it up.
Have you published in the field of orthopedic and orthopedic trauma?
Yes, sir.
Without going through what appears to be a lengthy resume, could you give the ladies and gentlemen of the jury a rough idea about how many articles you have written, how many chapters of books have you written on orthopedic trauma?
I haven't reviewed that recently, but there's probably 70 to 80 peer-reviewed publications, 10 to 20 book chapters, and then there's some other articles as well, and there's probably 100 total publications.
Have you been working in the field of orthopedic surgery once you started? Basically, once you became chief of Walter Reed, since that time you've been an orthopedic surgeon?
Once I finished my orthopedic fellowship, that's what I did, yes. And during residency, I just did orthopedic surgery.
And you've been in orthopedic surgery, you've been treating regular patients since that time?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to tender Dr. Romney Anderson as a specialist in orthopedic trauma.
Any objections?
No objection.
Without objection, so qualified.
Dr. Anderson, I take it you were working at Riverside Hospital when Abigail Zwerner became a patient?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to try to walk through what you've done with her surgery, but your primary focus, I believe, was on her hand?
Yes, sir.
And when you saw her for the first time, was that on January 6th or on January 3rd? Yes, feel free to review any of your medical records or notes. We had, just so you understand, Dr. Munn testified, who was the chief trauma surgeon at Riverside, who I know did see her with the other trauma doctor. At some point in time, I believe they testified that orthopedics needed to come in to work on her hand. I'm trying to determine whether you were on January 6th or on January 7th, if you know.
I believe I saw her in the intensive care unit on the 7th of January. The morning of the 7th of January.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would please, roughly what did you see for purposes, and I'm going to go general and then I'm going to show you some medical illustrations.
Yes, sir. So it was
describe it for the jury, please, if you could.
Yes, sir. It's a devastating hand injury with a significant amount of bony injury or bone fractures, as well as a number of soft tissue injuries that were associated with that.
When you say soft tissue injuries, just tell the jury what are soft tissues of a hand, not the skin, I take it.
There's skin, muscles, ligaments, joint capsules, nerves, blood vessels.
And have you seen those types of injuries in your past?
Yes, sir. This, we take care of a lot of stuff at Riverside Regional Medical Center, but on if you stratified these in a scale of 1 to 10, this was a more closely associated with a 10 type injury, which we were seeing frequently during the war.
And what war were you treating orthopedic surgeon injuries with bullet wounds?
OEF, OIF, and Iraq and Afghanistan.
All right, I have shown you and shown counsel before some medical illustrations that were based on x-rays as well as surgical reports, and you have seen them, I believe?
Yes, sir.
Without, it's MV1 through MV9. I'm going to show them to you as a group first, and it'll help us move faster. May I approach, Your Honor? Are these the medical illustrations that were shown to you, and do they accurately reflect Abigail Zwerner's injury, and would they help you in trying to describe for the jury your treatment of her?
Yep. Yes, sir. These are the ones I reviewed.
May I have MV1, please?
Now, are these going to be offered into evidence?
These are for demonstrative purposes
These are
only, Your Honor.
demonstrative as well. All right, so they're not going back to the jury room, okay? Any objection, by the way, Ms. Douglas?
Not to the demonstrative.
Okay, thank you.
MV1 can be published to the jury. At some point in time, and I believe it's on your screen as well, Doctor, and at some point in time I might ask you to step over to the screen, but for now, they've got a large screen there. Could you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what the upper left-hand... let's see if I can get this done. Am I doing it right? Hold on one second. What does the this picture show us of January 6, 22? This is an actual X-ray of Abby's hand, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, now you'll see where there are lots of white spots here. Could you tell us what they are?
So the things that are bright white, those are more radio dense, and so X-rays don't go through those, and they show up white. Those are metal fragments of the bone of the bullet.
So
Excuse
those
me.
are the bullet fragments that struck her in the hand.
Yes, sir.
And all of those white dots are bullet fragments.
The dark or the bright white, the more gray dots are bony fragments.
All right, let me look at. I take it on the bottom left. That's just a side view of the exact same bony fragments and metal fragments.
Yes, sir. A lateral view.
All right, so looking at this picture of January 6, 23, the medical illustration on the right, could you help us distinguish between the bones and the bullets in this diagram?
So the gray items marked as bullet fragments, those are the bullet fragments. The kind of yellowish tan flecks are bony fragments.
I may have trouble because I don't see yellow.
Or it's a gray, tan, whatever. The rest of the bones, like the finger bones, those little fragments that are a little redder down where all the bony breaks are.
Here?
There, that whole region, or if you'd like, I can come point it out.
I'm going to save you because I don't want you jumping back and forth because we have...
But all through that region you just circled are little bony fragments as well as metal fragments.
And what did you do as the orthopedic surgeon for that hand to try to stabilize Abby?
So the initial, when you see an injury of this magnitude, your initial treatment is not to get everything put back together right away, it's to stabilize things. So we brought her to the operating room for an irrigation and debridement. That is just to try and remove any contamination in there to reduce the infection risk over time. And then, as you can see, some of those bones have no stability at all, and some look like they're short. So we needed to bring those out to length and pin them so that when we went back to do definitive fixation, we'd have the bones out to length and they wouldn't be scarred and short.
When you say you lengthen them and then get them ready for, what are you using?
We use K-wires, just the smooth circular wires that you put in with kind of a drill, and then you cut them and bend them.
Now, I know this is surgery that she was undergoing, but you were not at this time fixing her hand for purposes of the things that you needed to do. You were just cleaning it?
Cleaning it and stabilizing it.
All right, describe for the jury, please, if you would, what are the primary injuries that Abby suffered from with initial injury January 6th that is visible, and then I'm going to show you soft tissue diagram next after the hard bone diagram.
So you can see at the base of the thumb, there's a fracture at the base of the thumb. Then if you go to the index finger...
And I take it, if you'll let me guide a little bit. Base of the thumb is here.
That's the base of the thumb. You can see there's highly comminuted fractures there. If you move over to the index finger, the base of the metacarpal there's no joint surface even left. It's completely gone with a bone void there as well. And then if we go to the middle finger or the long finger, we can see that there's a large bony defect with highly comminuted fracture.
When you say you lengthen it, what do? You just pull it out and then put wire in?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me switch, if I could, to MV2, please. Should be on your screen. Now, these are the soft tissue injuries?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you tell me where you would like me to go so that you can explain to the jury what is the soft tissue injury. Let me start with the bottom. Dorsal external appearance. That's the entry wound of the bullet.
The entry and exit, sir.
And let's move to the left. And I know we just looked at the bones of the thumb. If you could walk the jury from the thumb over to the right, Tell us what we're looking at.
So let's start on the index finger. We can see that there was a complete rupture of both of those tendons that extend the finger, and that's where
When you say they're ruptured, tell me what's happened to those tendons.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is looking at the palmar. The picture on the left is looking at the palm. And so that
Facing up towards your face.
looking at it like this. And so you can see that there's complete ruptures of the tendons of the index finger flexor digitorum superficialis.
Could you help us with that in terms that we may understand?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So this is a hand that's looking straight at my face.
The tendons on the palmar side of your finger allow you to flex the fingers. Each finger has 3 separate tendons. One is called the profundus. There's the superficialis, has 2 slips to it. The profundus goes all the way out to the end of the finger, which flexes the deep part of the finger. The superficialis goes around and comes into here, which bends at the, I guess you'd say, like the first knuckle. And we could see that the index finger, the one that goes all the way out to the tip, was 25% lacerated.
Which finger?
The index. And then the flexor digitorum superficialis, 10% lacerated.
All right, now let's go to the far right.
Yes, sir. So this is looking at the hand like this. Looking at the back of your hand like this.
And so her thumb would be on the far right of this right diagram.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what we're looking at.
So the first thing on the top there talks about laceration and contusion of the posterior interosseous nerve. That's a nerve that goes out from your forearm across to the wrist joint, and that's what gives your wrist innervation, or gives you sensation of the wrist.
And what happened to her nerve?
It was transected and contused.
When you say transected, for our purposes?
Cut. Yeah.
Trying to make sure we all understand.
Right.
Keep
So,
on moving right to left.
And then as we go to the right, we see that there's from the small finger to the thumb, as we move from left to right, there's a 75% laceration of the finger that, or the tendon that extends your finger independently. So most of your fingers have a common tendon that helps you extend all your fingers at the same time. The index finger has a separate tendon so that you can point. Like, it's very difficult to point with your fourth or middle finger. It's hard to pull that finger up by itself, but you can do it with your index finger because it's got a separate tendon, which is the extensor indicis
What
proprius.
happened to Abby's tendon?
It was 75% transected, which, if you don't do anything with it, tends to rupture.
I keep on going. I take it all these great things are what?
That's bullet fragments.
I keep on going.
So as we go to the right, we see that there's a tear in the thumb joint capsule at the base of the thumb, and
Is that here?
yes, sir, right about there. And then there's a dorsal retinaculum tear. And so if you take your fingers and you go like this, the retinaculum, if you can see the tendons on the back of my hand.
Can you see the back right there? You need a little bit higher for. And
So the tendons, you can see them kind of on the back of my hand. The retinaculum holds those down tightly here so that they pull the fingers up. If that retinaculum wasn't there, these tendons would do what we call bowstring, and it would try and go from here to here and just lift up and not lift the finger as well. So that retinaculum keeps the tendons in place so that they have a mechanical advantage to extend the fingers. That was torn.
all right, anything else here that needs to be seen?
No, sir.
All right. This is all as of January 6th and 7th of 23, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you decide and make a plan for surgery?
Yes, sir.
And when were you going to plan to do your first surgery? On the 7th?
Well, the first surgery on the 7th was
To do the wires.
to stabilize it. We've already talked about, yes.
Did you decide when you were looking at Abby's injuries to bring in another doctor to assist you with the surgery that you needed to perform?
Yes, sir.
Who was that doctor?
Dr. Scott Tintle.
And could you tell the jury, please, why he brought the doctor in and where did he come from to assist?
So Dr. Scott Tintle was one of my residents at Walter Reed when I was the chairman there. He had went on to do hand surgery, but he and I did a number of the more difficult hand surgeries at Walter Reed. And so when I was looking at this, I was like, this is much more similar to a war injury than it is what I normally see. And having a second set of competent hands in the operating room is very valuable when you're taking on a problem of this magnitude. So I contacted the administration. They said, be happy to let you bring this guy in. We got him credentialed in a few days, and he came down and helped us with the case.
When did you do your first surgery post-wiring of her hand?
Let me refer to my notes here.
And I'll direct you to January 16th of 23 if that will help
Yes,
you.
that's when we did the next surgery. It was the 16th of January.
MV4, please. And feel free to refer to your notes at any time to any of the issues involving.
Yes, sir.
The first issue, I believe, is a left-hand gunshot volar wound. Tell me what that means.
Volar's the inside, dorsum's the backside. So there's a gunshot wound there.
All right, let's talk about the frame A of the January 16th, 23, part 1.
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury, please, what we're looking at in A.
So oftentimes people hear about people that get carpal tunnel syndrome from like typing too much or things like that. That's that this transverse carpal ligament that you can see being cut in this picture is. Right there, right. You can also get it from traumatic injuries. We knew from the radiographs that there was a large bullet fragment in there, probably irritating the median nerve, so we needed to go get that out.
And so the purpose here is to just remove the bullet fragment.
Remove the bullet fragment, give the median nerve more room to kind of live in a traumatized hand.
All right, let's go up to B, please, and tell the jury what we're looking at here.
So we've just reflected the transverse carpal ligament, and then we remove the bullet fragments in there.
All right, C, please.
So one of the tendons that flexes your finger was lacerated as well, so we repaired that. Flexor did
So where am I looking here? I see that the skin's been pulled back, and then I see a pinching device holding it on the right there.
right where that arrow points is where we repaired the tendon. You can see the little sutures in there.
Right there.
Yeah.
And so what was the primary purpose other than removing of the bullet fragment of the carpal tunnel area?
Make more room for the median nerve and repair the tendon.
All right, let me move to MV5, please. Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what are we looking at here? And I take it this is also on January 16th, 2023. We are deeper. Am I on the left-hand side? Am I looking at the top of Abby's hand or the underside of her hand?
So the left picture is looking at the back of the hand.
Back of the hand, I'll use that. Tell us what we're looking at here.
So we see that there's more bullet fragments there that we took out.
Which are all in here?
Those little gray things, yes. And then we see the laceration to the tendon that extends your finger independently.
Right there?
Yep. And the picture on the right shows us repairing.
Before you get there, that in the
Right.
middle there, which I'm messing up my little, I'm going to start again. There you go. Those are all bullet fragments that you pulled out of the hand?
Yes, sir.
All right, tell us what we're looking at here on E.
That's just repairing of the tendon that we saw lacerated on the left.
So it calls it the,
Extensor indicis proprius.
right? What is that specifically? Because I'm not sure I heard those terms.
That's the tendon that by itself is responsible for extending the finger so you can extend the index finger independently of the other fingers.
And what are you doing in this surgery here?
Oh, bringing the ends of the tendon back together and sewing them together.
Does scar tissue normally form in those areas?
Frequently.
And does the scar tissue cause problems and or future problems with someone like Abby?
It causes the inability to flex down all the way because the tendons on the back are scarred in. And on the palmar tendons that were repaired, makes it hard to extend the fingers.
Let me move to MV6, please, and tell me what we're doing here.
So,
And I'm going to go start off at F. We can zero in on F because it's real fast.
so on the back of the hand is where we fixed the index and middle finger metacarpal. This is a picture of fixing the middle finger metacarpal. We put a plate over the area. You can see that there's a large bone void underneath those screws.
So this is a plate, or are those, what is that? Because I see a screw being put in.
That's a metal plate and metal screws that we're putting in there.
And is that to take the place of the bone that was removed by the bullet?
And to hold it stable, yes.
All right, move to
try and help it heal.
Obviously, it's not a final fix. It's to try to get something.
Yes, sir.
Move to the same picture, but go to G, please.
So in the picture in G shows that we've already fixed the index finger metacarpal.
Point to the jury again which one we're talking about so they can see on your hand where we're talking.
This finger right here.
All right, is this the same plate or a different plate?
That's a different plate. There's two plates in there. You see one kind of hiding out under the tendon on the left side of the screen.
Behind there?
That's one that was on the other image. This one right here is for the index finger, and this one had the index finger where you're pointing right there had such bony destruction it took out the whole joint space of the proximal part of the metacarpal. So the trapezium.
When you use those terms, proximal, could you explain to us what we're talking about on a hand? For us.
Closer to the wrist. It took out the whole joint in there, so we had to do a fusion down to the trapezium.
And when you say
Excuse me,
taking out
trapezoid.
the bullet just removed the whole bone.
It came out and spit it out across the floor wherever, and it went out. When the bullet went in and took bone with it out the backside of the wound.
All right, tell me what we're looking at here.
And this is the thumb where we had to fix the thumb fracture as well.
And again, another plate.
Another plate and screws, yes.
And
we also had to do the joint capsule has gone down there as well, so we had to put in a suture anchor to sew the capsule and ligaments down there.
All right, let me focus you on that for just a second. This is a suture anchor. Where is that going and what is it doing?
It's going down into the capitate. So the tendons that extend your wrist.
Help this juror on the far left.
The tendons that come from your arm down to your across your wrist and go into the carpal bones, or those are all the kind of intermediate bones in here that allow you to bring your wrist up. Those had both been completely transected. They're very difficult to sew back into bone, so we put an anchor into the bone and then sew the sutures on the anchor. So if you look at that picture where it says suture anchor, there's some suture there. Down, yep, right there. We take those sutures and tie it into those tendons. So now that when those muscles fire, it brings the wrist up.
Now, in looking at the notes, there appears to be some non-biodegradable drug delivery antibiotic spacers, I believe, are what they are.
Yes,
Could you tell the jury, please, what the purpose? What are they? What are antibiotic spacers, and what is your purpose of putting them in the hand?
So, when you have an injury this devastating with bone loss, you're going to have to come back later and do a bone grafting procedure. If you let that just all fill in with scar, it doesn't leave a nice pocket to put the bone graft in. And so we put in this it's bone cement that people use when they get a total knee or a total hip. We fill it full of antibiotics. Those antibiotics leach out over a several-month period of time, so it helps fight infection as well.
So it's basically a time-release capsule that's buried into the hand to let out antibiotics to stop infection. Let me go to MV7, please.
And in that we put vancomycin, gentamicin, and tobramycin, three pretty hefty antibiotics to try and
keep the infection from happening.
Keep the infection from occurring.
The risk of an infection to Abby at this point in time is?
It can be devastating.
I believe I am on MV8. 7, I mean. Tell us what we're looking at here. This is, I take it, post-operative. So you finished your surgery. I'm going to start with frame I, please.
So the thumb tendon, there's a sheath that thumb tendon runs in, and that was all damaged. So we took it out of the sheath and just moved it over, so it wasn't captured in this damaged sheath.
I take it these are all these are what you've placed in there to help with the bones.
Those are the plates for the bones, yes.
And you've moved soft tissue tendons so that they can be free of the damaged area?
Yes, sir.
What is on the far right?
That's just the same thing.
All right,
so you can see the incision being made in the extensor pollicis longus tendon sheath on the left, and then on your left picture where the knife is, you can see that's taking the sheath that was damaged, opening it up, and then taking the tendon out and moving it over.
And then where is I'm looking at here? Where
it's just a little bit more to the right of the screen than it was on the left.
Gotcha.
You can see the empty sheath behind the tweezers there.
Gotcha.
See that?
Here.
Go to right behind the tweezers is the empty sheath. Yep, right there, right there. Yep. Right there. And then the tendon is moved over, so it's not in that damaged sheath.
All right, the next part of that slide, please. So tell me what I don't think we need to see it. Well, let's look at Jay real fast.
So when we talk about the tendons having a tendency to bowstring without that retinaculum, we had to repair the retinaculum there.
And that's what you're doing here?
That's what we're doing there, yes, sir.
All right, let me go to the x-ray on this same slide right here. All right, so this is post-surgery, I believe,
yes,
January 16th, 2023, and you are looking here at all of the hardware that you put in there.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Tell me what these, I think I know what they are, but I'd rather you tell me, what is all this kind of reddish area here and around there? What are we looking at there?
Those are fractured bones.
And why are they left there in that kind of condition?
Well, if they've got some soft tissue attachments to them, then they've got a chance of healing in. So it's best not to take out things that you think are viable that can help the bone heal.
I take it you continue to operate and work on her, and I believe your next surgery is on March 16th, which would be MV8.
But this is still the same. This is March 16th. Yeah. So.
All right. So let's talk about A first. What are we looking at here in the upper left?
So it's she had these bone voids in her hand. In order to get bone to fill those gaps, we have to get bone from somewhere. We have to steal from Peter to pay Paul. So we go into the hip where there's good. The bone in the hip has very high amounts of bone growth factors in it. So when we take that type of bone, we get better healing. So that's why we made an incision over the hip, made a little window in that iliac bone, went down and took out a bunch of bone, put it on the back table, and closed the wound.
How do you take the bone off of her left iliac crest?
With chisels and hammers and chisels.